Tired of bloating, fatigue, and sluggish digestion? Meet your gut's new best friend, NutriHealth 365's microbiome supplement. Restore balance, boost immunity, and feel amazing from the inside out. Smart delay release capsules. Real results. Ep Health just got personal.
Good morning and welcome to Thursday's episode of Trending, another week in the Madhouse. Today we're going to be talking about Pam Bondi going after hate speech. We're going to talk about Israel occupying TikTok. Why not? They occupy everything else. Trump and King Charles having a love-in. And we're also going to be talking about some councillors in Bristol being a bunch of prats. Hello again. As always, Trending is brought to you in association with NutriHealth 365. If you click the link in the description, you can head over to their website and have a look at what deals they've got going on. Okay, let's kick off with Attorney General Pam Bondi. Bearing in mind, this is MAGA, guys. This is freedom of speech. This is America first. This is inalienable rights to speak what you believe to be true. I'll quote her and then I'll play the video so you know I'm not lying. There's free speech and then there's hate speech. Okay, who defines what that is, Pam? And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society. We will absolutely target you, go after you if you're targeting anyone with hate speech. So here's the video, and bear in mind when watching this, she's 59. I can't explain it. I don't know if you can, but here you go.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything, and that's across the aisle.
Okay, so there she is. We're going to target you. We're going to go for you. Now, she's backtracked on this already, which is quite funny because that was only yesterday morning that kind of started circulating. She's now saying, no, just to clarify, we aren't going to go after you. Literally just heard you say it, Pam. Pam Bondi has more flip-flops than Bondi Beach. I came up with that. Now, the reason why I think she's backtracked, because she's used Charlie Kirk's murder as an excuse to obviously bring in a crackdown on free speech, which is what these people always do. But then people have gone, well, this is Charlie Kirk, mate. So this is a tweet from Charlie Kirk. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. Exactly, Charlie. And that goes for all the people that are now, all the thousands of people that are being sacked from their jobs for using free speech. As I said yesterday in the Gareth Fight Tonight show, you don't have to like what people are saying. People can say really horrible things. They can. I've heard a lot of them. And they can say really stupid things. And, people aren't perfect. Some of them might believe what they're saying and they say horrible things and they will stand by them or whatever. And, again, that's fine. It's freedom of speech. If you want freedom of speech, you have to put up with this stuff. Nasty speech or whatever. I'm thinking of David Brent from The Office now. As Dolly Parton said, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain, right? And it's true. It's true. And so as a result, obviously, if people going, well, this is what Charlie Kirk said, so you're basically using his death to crack down on free speech when actually he was massively for free speech. That doesn't really seem right. She's backpedaled and said, no, she won't go after people over hate speech after literally saying, we're going to come for you, we're going to target you. Presumably, she's confused or stressed, which I understand, if you've got that many files about Jeffrey Epstein on your desk. That's going to be annoying, isn't it? I'm like that. Every now and then I'll just have a purge of my desk because there's just so much stuff. Maybe there's a couple of coffee cups and it's like, oh mate, right, that's it. Clear them. Bosh. And then you got a nice clean desk like this one, and you're like, oh, okay, right. Now I can focus. Now I can get on with my work. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe Pam Bondi had all the Epstein files all over her desk, just like she said she did. And then she went, do you know what this is doing, mate? Just clear them. Donald, can you just say it was a hoax or something, mate? Because they're doing me head in. Yeah, cheers. And Donald obviously happily obliged because his name kept popping up. Whenever the government loses the narrative on anything, it starts to go for speech. But they can't just go for speech straight out the bat. Bosh, we're gonna shut everyone down. We're gonna shut down your free speech. Is that okay? Yeah, cheers, fine, cool. Yeah, I'll have a cup of tea, please. They're not gonna do that. So they have to create scenarios, or if they don't create scenarios, they exploit scenarios to be able to crack down on free speech. And like I said, it's already happening in terms of all these people being fired for saying words. Now, people will say, well, yeah, but that's fine. That's still not the police getting involved. That's still not the government getting involved. Yeah, but what's worse in some cases, to be honest? The police knocking on your door and giving you a warning or a fine or something for saying something online. That's ridiculous, of course. But that or losing your livelihood. Now, the police don't need to get involved in you losing your livelihood, but if you say some words and then you lose the ability to feed your kids, I'll take the fine and the jackboot at the door, be honest. That's the joke of it. And as I was saying on yesterday's show, like, everyone says stupid things sometimes. They do. And everyone says mean things sometimes. And, you know, we've all done it. We've said something maybe out of a bit of anger, or you're a bit stressed, too many Epstein files on your desk, and you go, oh, bugger off or whatever. And then you might go, sorry about that. I'm snappy. I don't mean to be. I know, I don't mean to be. I'm already fired by that point with this mindset. It's ridiculous. But the narrative they're really losing at the moment is the Charlie Kirk one anyway. This Tyler Robinson being this lone wolf kid who just from nowhere decides to shoot someone in the head. No one's buying that. Literally no one's buying it. And that's encouraging. I mean, I've got a tinfoil hat idea about it as well, but that's encouraging to me that as soon as it happened and they started putting out this information, people are going, nah, mate, that doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense. And it's great because the real media, in terms of the mainstream accepted media, that what we're saying, you know, accredited media, they're not asking any of the questions themselves because they don't. They just like they did with COVID at 5 p.m. in the United Kingdom. You know, Boris Johnson, the Eton mess, who messes his hair up on purpose so he seems like a buffoon as opposed to a coldly calculated bastard, sat there and went, next slide, please, and all this sort of stuff. And Whitty came out and Valance came out. And all the media did was that. They took it down word for word and then presented it to you and me. And it was the same in the United States and it was the same everywhere in the world, let's have it right, because they're all in lockstep, despite being independent governments that we get to vote for. And so that's what the mainstream media is. And it's the same on this. So Kash Patel will stand there and go, this is what happened, this is what we found. And the media goes, this is what's happened, this is what they found. Bosh. And they present it to you, the general public. Whereas online, at least, for now, people go, well, no, I'm not accepting that because that's nonsense. Kash Patel's trying to tell me that they found a confession note, but it got destroyed. By who? Oh, no, I've destroyed the evidence. That's annoying, isn't it? Like, no one's buying that stuff. And then suddenly these text messages appear, which I don't know if you've seen them, ladies and gentlemen, but they're supposed to be a conversation between two 22-year-old kids, gamers. Bearing in mind, he's etched loads of memes into these bullets and into the side of the gun or whatever else he's supposedly done. So he talks in memes, and now suddenly he talks like a 55-year-old guy. Proceed to the vehicle. No 22-year-old kid calls it a vehicle. I don't even call it a vehicle. When I'm 43, it's a car or your motor. It's not a vehicle. Like, there's so much stuff in there which is ridiculous. It just reads like a massive confession. Remember how I was etching all the memes into the bullets? I mean, come on. Oh, mate. Rich is out there in the studio, so I've got a classified mug in honour of him today rather than a trending one. But I'm looking at all this evidence that's coming out of America, and I find myself laughing at it, and then I feel bad for laughing because, you know, a man has died, or even if you don't believe he's dead, as people do now, you know, they believe that, you know, it was staged and whatever, and people are entitled to believe whatever they want, that's fine. But even if he isn't dead, and even, you know, it's still created a massive situation which is going to be exploited and not to the people's benefit because they never are. So either way, it's a tragic event, right? But I find myself laughing at some of the ludicrousness that's being said by the likes of Kash Patel and the FBI and then accepted as fact by the media. But they're losing. They are losing. So you had people like Candice and Tucker Carlson come out and say stuff early doors. People started pointing fingers at Israel. Israel came out, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. Benjamin Netanyahu went on a world media tour saying we didn't do it, honest gov. And people have started seeing this and going, I don't know. So at the start, you know, Candice was a pariah and so was Tucker, and they're disrespecting Charlie Kirk's memory and all this sort of stuff. Well, now, I don't know if you're noticing this, ladies and gentlemen, but that is starting to turn. People are starting to go, hang on. If this kid didn't do it, which a lot of people don't think he did, or if he did, he's a patsy involved in something. He's certainly not done it on his own. I mean, we're meant to believe, like, bear in mind, this kid lives 4 hours away, right? We're meant to believe this kid's not scoped the area at all. So he's just decided, and even in the text messages with his trans lover, because it had to be a trans lover, didn't it? She says to him, he says to him, whatever, how long have you been planning this? I don't know, a week or so. I don't know, a week or so. An assassination of another human being, of a massively, significantly high-profile human being in the United States that almost certainly going to end up with you getting the death penalty because, you know, that's clearly what would be pursued for that and is being pursued for that. And I don't know, a week or so. And then he turns up half an hour before, right? Doesn't scope it out, turns up half an hour before, seems to know exactly where Charlie's going to be, where he's going to be speaking, what the best vantage point is. He seems to know where all the security and police are because he evades them the whole time while he climbs up onto the roof with his gun, despite the gun not being visible while he's climbing up or down. And he's in a different outfit. But he got changed back into it, and then he went to his parents' house to get changed, but then he changed back into the same outfit again, so he was recognisable from the CCTV. Just believe it all, ladies and gentlemen, just believe it all, it's fine. People aren't, though. People are not having it because it's nonsense. It's clearly nonsense. Like I say, he didn't scope the area out. He turned up half an hour before, just got the perfect vantage point, knew exactly where all the security was so that he could evade detection and then get away. And then he only gets caught because he leaves the gun and then confesses on Discord, this you know, gaming app thing. They then come out now saying, no, he didn't. There's no record of these conversations on our database. He's saying he's innocent. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, he can change that plea, obviously, at any point. And I've got to say, I expected him to either get Jack Rubenstein, to be fair, or to just admit his guilt because either he's an MK Ultra, doesn't know what day it is, or, with them pursuing the death penalty, and this still may happen, ladies and gentlemen, they will say to him, we're going to go for the death penalty, you're going to be found guilty, and good night, Vienna, son. Or, let me run this by you, Tyler. You plead guilty and say I did it and save all this big trial and stuff. And you know, we don't want to put Charlie's wife and family through all that. And we will look at that favourably and we will take the death penalty off the table and replace it with life imprisonment. In which case he might think, well, I don't want to die, obviously. So, okay, yeah, I'll go for that because it means I might be able to appeal and plead my innocence further down the line. I can't do that once I'm dead, right? So, okay, so I might do that. And that may still happen. But we'll see. But that, I think, is part of what's going on here. You know, of course it is. Pam Bondi's even said that in that video, you know, especially after what happened to Charlie. So they always take advantage of things, or they create things. Let's have it right. Let's not pretend they don't. But as I said a few moments ago, who defines what hate speech is? See, that's the thing. People who listen to this go, well, yeah, hate speech is wrong. Okay. Who creates the parameters of hate speech? Because I can say that Israel's carrying out a genocide, because they are, and then I'm accused of being anti-Semitic or engaging in blood libel or whatever other nonsense they make up. Well, anti-Semitism, they claim, is racism, despite them not being a race. So racism would be hate speech, right? Okay, so I can't say that then. And if I, make a point about, equality and the overrepresentation of minorities in certain things, you can make all these conversations that people have. Why do we have race quotas? Why not just give the best person a job? Well, that sounds racist to me. Racism is hate speech. We're going to target you. And also, I don't believe, and I'm going to put this on the record, and it's quite strange that I have to say this, I don't think women have penises. I don't think that. In fact, my 4-year-old daughter doesn't think that either. But that's hate speech, right? That's transphobia. That's bigoted. That's hate speech. So it's all well and good saying hate speech is wrong, but who defines it? And then who extends the parameters of it and moves the goalposts on it? So you get to a point where in the end, which I think they want, and we get close to in some points, where people go, I don't know what to say, because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm obviously not one of those people, but there are lots of them out there. There's lots of them out there. And they were massively amplified during COVID, to me at least, because I was getting private messages from so many people I used to play ice hockey with, football with, people I gigged with and worked with in the various jobs I've had in my life. Go, mate, I'm with you, but I can't say that because I'll lose my job, or I'll get ear roll grief, or I work for the council, and or I'm a police officer, plenty of them. And so in the end, you just create a situation where people go, I'm not going to say anything, and that's what they want. Because then they don't have to crack down on free speech, because you've already done it to yourself. Now, another example of that is TikTok. Now, I'm a huge fan of TikTok, to be honest. I sort of see it as there being some weird stuff on there, and, I guess there's some funny cat videos and that kind of stuff. But TikTok kind of came to the fore, at least in my sphere, in the last 2 years, because they were exposing stuff about what was going on in Gaza that Facebook wouldn't allow because it's Zionist run, and Twitter, even the free speech platform, wouldn't allow to a certain degree because, Musk is in with these guys as well. So then suddenly, America starts targeting TikTok because of China. Of course, it's nothing to do with China, but they need to say China. So you don't know the real reason, but people are not stupid despite what they think. Which again goes back to the whole Tyler Robinson thing. Do you remember when I was sat here the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination, or pretend assassination for people that are watching this that don't think he's dead, because I don't want to get in trouble again. I said I didn't think they'd have the gall to blame it on some blue-haired trans activist or whatever. I didn't even think they'd have the gall to do that, because they wouldn't think we were that stupid. It's exactly what they did. And they threw in a furry as well, just to make it even, to make it even weirder. Okay, so this is from the Wall Street Journal. TikTok in final talks to be bought by Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. Now, that's basically all but gone through now. TikTok, which the US government moved to ban last year for allowing criticism of Israel. Now, the headline, it says, Wall Street Journal, TikTok in final talks to be brought by Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. The article, they use the Wall Street Journal as the example. So this article isn't actually from the Wall Street Journal, but that's their headline. TikTok, which the US government moved to ban last year for allowing criticism of Israel to go viral, is reportedly now in final talks to be bought by a small group of Zionist billionaires. Gotta love it. Larry Ellison, the Oracle mega billionaire who's donated millions to the Israel Defense Forces to kill kids, just had his kid buy Paramount CBS to have Barry Weiss run, is trying to buy CNN, and now will buy TikTok with Andreessen Horowitz. Glenn Greenwald noted on X. Lucky break for Israel as its support collapses in the US, he added. It is lucky. It is lucky. It's almost as lucky as Larry Silverstein. TikTok's US operations would be controlled by an investor consortium, including Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. Here's a picture of Andreessen Horowitz. I can't see that and not see Humpty Dumpty from Puss in Boots. I'll continue. In fact, I'll start again because I've lost where I am. A new company will be created to operate TikTok with US investors holding a roughly 80% stake and Chinese shareholders owning the rest. So pointless then, the report said. The company would have an American-dominated board with one member designated by the US government. Mate. Freedom of speech, man. This is a truly unprecedented attack on free speech. Get used to it, mate. And it's being done on behalf of a foreign power. Of course it is, mate. I guarantee whatever US government member is put on the board of TikTok, they'll have licked the wall, mate. They will have licked that wall. Otherwise, they won't be there. It was never about China. It was never about China. China was just the excuse. They always have to have an excuse. It's China. It's got to be scared of China. That's why in the US, we need to advance AI. We need to build our AI. I mean, Ted Cruz came out and basically said this yesterday. I'm adding the odd words in because he leaves them out in his gaslighting. We basically need to build our massive AI dystopia because if we don't, China will, and China's will be worse than ours. How about no one does it? But, you know, they've set up a fear of China within the US, China. So when they said, you know, China's doing this through TikTok, they appealed to that tribal nature of Americans to go, yeah, sort it out. It was never about China. Israel's lost the narrative, as they seem to be with this whole Charlie Kirk thing, to be honest. And so they're seeking to grab it back. Now, what they've done on these social media platforms is they've sent out their massive army of Hasbro trolls, as they always have done, but they're not working. They're too obvious, for one. And, you know, they've set out the Ben Shapiro's and others, influencers and whatever, and they're not working either. It's not happening. Now, you know, Israel massively owns the mainstream media, it owns governments. People can say that's anti-Semitic, but if the truth's anti-Semitic, I don't care. They do. But they're losing the war on social media, and so taking over TikTok is absolutely part of that. And just to example it, bear in mind this apparently it's not gone through yet in the sense of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and stuff, but still the takeover is already happening, in the sense that George Galloway, obviously former member of parliament, was very critical of Israel over the years. He's already had viral videos that have been up for months and months and months about what's going on in Gaza, deleted just in the last 24 hours by TikTok, at the same point that this is going through. That should tell you all you need to know. But I've said this a few times, and I'll say it again because I think it bears repeating. It's not even necessarily about what's going on now, because that horse is bolted. Like, they can shut down free speech on TikTok and other platforms and whatever, but that doesn't stop me and you seeing what we've seen over the last 2 years. It doesn't, that can't unsee that, mate. No matter how much you delete it or try and flip the narrative and say it's blood libel and anti-Semitic, wherever, it's too late, mate. I've seen it. So what it's about is about what is about to come. So we know they want to go with Iran again. We know they're already in the middle of taking care of the Houthis in Yemen. We know they want more of Syria. They're already occupying southern Lebanon. And we know they want Gaza, and they're already taking the West Bank in its entirety. They're occupying, they're annexing it just like they have with TikTok. Now, that ain't going to be done peacefully, obviously, and they're going to do horrific things. So it's like they're setting up their censorship, before it goes to the next level. Because they don't want, like I say, the horse is bolted on what they've done so far. But what they know is coming and what they're planning to do in the future, they want to get the censorship in the door beforehand. And that's what's happening with TikTok. How are you going to get stuff out on TikTok now? Say, George Galloway's already had videos that are months old and therefore already seen by millions of people removed. So what happens then when, they do something horrific again, because, why not? It's Thursday. And people want to talk about that and expose that and get footage of that out. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be allowed to go viral because it's simply not going to be posted. Now, they can pretend it's to do with China, but the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, the Anti-Criticism of Israel League, were talking about this, 2 years ago? A year ago? About the fact that something needed to be done about TikTok because of the anti-Israel propaganda. Videos of you blowing up children is not propaganda. And what I find strange, just finally on this, is, and I thought this today, right? So they're saying that apparently Britain is going to, acknowledge a Palestinian state. I personally don't think they will, and even if they do, as I've said multiple times, there'll be so many caveats with it that it's basically pointless. Because Britain's an occupied country as well as America. But Tommy Robinson, right, Britain first apparently, we all know that's not the case, but, whatever, is annoyed by that. And I don't, explain this to me like I'm 5, right? You've got an issue with mass, unfiltered immigration, right? I do too. We're aligned on that. So you don't want people coming into your country and essentially taking over, changing the culture, all this. I get it. Totally get it. Okay, right. But you really hate the Palestinians who don't want to come here. Like, they literally don't want to move to Bradford and build a mosque. And so them having their own state where they can stay in their own land in the Middle East is a problem for you. Explain this to me like I'm 5. So you would rather then, Israel takes over the whole of Gaza, whole of the West Bank, boots them out, 2 million people, go on, off you go, into Europe and the United Kingdom. Because that's the other option. Because that's what Israel wants to do. And you're supporting them in that aim. When surely the setting up of a Palestinian state where they can live, so they're not moving to Luton, sure, it's a good thing, right? So I don't understand the British patriots that are cheesed off with the Palestinians having their own country. Surely that's good, isn't it? Or maybe it's not really about that after all. You tell me. Okay, so to watch the rest of the episode, head over to iconic.com. The link is in the description below. It's completely free, the rest of it, and so you can head over there now.